Hi, and welcome again to another edition of Daily USB Market Analysis. I'm Gio Benacourt, your host. Let me get right with the disclaimer. The information, context, opinions which are expressed in the presentation and on the following slides are solely those of the presenter and not necessarily those of Vantage and are solely used for educational purposes as they do not constitute investment advice and or consultation on how a client should trade. Vantage does not guarantee the accuracy or reliability of the information provided herein. Your host, I'm Gio Benacourt, a senior VIP market analyst, market educator, and demonstrator strategist with Vantage, bringing over 20 years of experience as a commodity trader, and I hold Series 3 license and a CMT candidate. The agenda for today, well, we're going to be looking at the economic calendar, what's moving the markets, identifying key support resistance levels, and trading with Fibonacci tools. About Vantage, well, the markets we offer over 1,000 instruments, over 100 chart patterns, and 100 plus technical indicators and drawing tools. We offer CFDs on Forex, indices, shares, commodities, and cryptocurrencies. What we stand for, lightning fast execution, award-winning 24-hour support, intuitive tools, level connectivity, strict regulation. I begin my trading habits. I believe that we should have always build on those, and also as well to be comfortable with the prospect of losing money if the market goes against you. Also, I emphasize on risk management, risking 1% or between 1 and 2% of your total account. Always using leverage is a knife of double-edged sword, and reducing the leverage when volatility spikes is a good idea. The use of stop loss is always recommended. You will obviously be able to control your emotions by that way. When you're trading, always be looking for identifying the trends, timing the entry and exit points, risk management, and confirmation of validation. Excuse me. Right. So, what is technical analysis? You know, I I think it's important that we have a shared common vocabulary for what is technical analysis. So let's dive right in there. Is it just a form of data visualization? Obviously, charts, charting, displaying market data in lots of different data visualization modes is a big part of where technical analysis came from. But you obviously want to go back about 100 years back to the rice pits of Osaka, Japan, for a gentleman named Munihisa Homa, who invented the Japanese candlesticks as a way to try to capture all of the behavior of traders in those rice pits. We've of course advanced the discipline over hundreds of years, and there are lots of different chart types. But what I'm going to argue to you now is that technical analysis is far more than just collecting data and displaying it in a way that we can interpret a lot of information quickly. This is part of it, but if you look at definitions from some of the very early texts from some of the 1920s, 1930s, that said technical analysis about the study of market itself, all of that price action, all of the investors' behavior, everything that's happening in an open, freely traded market is part of our discipline. And I love that definition because it's quite broad, and hopefully to this session you'll understand just how broad and the depth of study that you go through. We also know technical analysis about the study of that supply and demand relationships. We care a lot about the behavior and the psychology of investors, and it's one of the hardest things to quantify when you're thinking about investment decisions. I'll argue that it's all represented in this beautiful little element called price, which we can call it also systematic evaluation. Okay. So systems. The reason I bring this quote up is that a lot of us have heard about algorithmic trading, high frequency. You might be an advanced programmer. You might know Python or R, many other languages, and that is an important way to express some of the ideas. But even if you're not a coder, you're not an algo trader, you should be thinking in terms of systems, a rules-based, repeatable approach. And that's something that was drilled into me as I spent surrounded by some of the best money managers in the business, is that they have a defined, repeatable process or a system that they follow no matter what the market is doing. All right, so a quick refresher of your 101 economy class. Remember, a fixed rate of supply, an increase in demand is going to move us up the price equilibrium, or a decrease in demand will move price down the equilibrium. So when we're thinking about an open, freely traded market, demand, greed of investors is inherently pushing prices up, and fear or selling pressure is going to push price down because it's a fixed supply. I want you to hold that thought in your mind, because it is perhaps one of the most important parts of the magic that we're looking to obviously code here. Now, the message of the market that we're trying to decode, which is related to the learning that if you take emotion, the would be or the could be or the should be out of your decision making, and you look at what is happening and you can quantify that, you have a big advantage over most human beings. I will argue for all of us in the investment discipline, there's a lot of emotion tied to those trading decisions that we make each and every day, and those emotion impacts our decision making can be very negative. So the more you can remove your emotional and cognitive bias from your decision making, the better chance you have of staying on the right side of the trends. All right, now let me stop sharing my screen. I'm going to start sharing my charts with you so we can start looking at the market. Okay, for a second. Okay, so in front of you, you should be seeing my charts. I'm using a daily candlestick in front of us, but the first thing that I do on a daily basis, I obviously just look at the trend direction, and overall, you could take an overall look at the market. So monthly, we're seeing that we have been making higher highs, higher lows. This is indicative of a uptrend. So therefore, you can understand that the market's direction is obviously towards new all-time highs, and that new all-time high for the Nasdaq was made back on the 13th of August, 24,069, and so therefore that's where the sentiment of the market leads us towards. So initially for today, I look towards my left and I look at the nearest previous high, and also look at the market momentum to identify that level as a possible level of resistance. And 24,000 is a psychological value, so I'm gonna leave that level there. So that's my first level of resistance here. That's my second level. As far as support, well, if the market the previous day didn't close or didn't break my level of support, which makes it'll be by the market closing below that support, and if it was just violated like it is in this sense, I will leave it. I usually do that, and my second level, I'm going to bring up my second level to that swing low. For whatever reason, the market fluctuated low and stopped there and then retreated. So for me, that's an important level. So I'm going to leave that as my second level of support. I'll do the same thing for all the other assets that I trade, which are this 12 on our list: Nasdaq, S&P, Dow, crude oil, Nasdaq, S&P, Dow, crude oil, nat gas, gold, silver, copper, Bitcoin, euro, pound, and the US dollar index. I just use these two VIX and the 10-year just as I follow it, I look at it and see what the indication will be. The VIX tells me, obviously, this is the fear gauge, so it tells me which direction should I be following through in regards to the market. If the VIX is high, then we'll most likely be in a selling mode. As the VIX is low, well, there's low fear, so we're looking to be long the markets. And the 10-year, which basically tells me where is the money moving towards, if it spikes, if it falls. So I follow that. Now, as we look at the S&P, we see that our levels are pretty far out. So I'm gonna use psychological round values like 65.20 be my first level of resistance, and that swing high for the S&P, just the Friday swing high. We opened today gap down, but that could have implied that the market is looking to push lower. But let's see if that's the case. Then I'm gonna use that swing low and leave the same level that I had previously. Then we're gonna look at the Dow. So again, the Dow, we are pretty far off from those levels that we have placed last week. So I'm just gonna use that swing high as my second, and my first level I'm gonna use the opening of that of Friday as my first level of resistance for the Dow. As far as support goes, I'm gonna tighten up my first level and use that swing low. And then as far as my first level of support, I'm looking towards my left and looking at a swing high. So I'm gonna use that as my first level of support. So if we were to open today, right now the market will be looking to be opening long or buying. So that's the direction initially. Crude oil. So crude oil is here doing basically an inside candle. This candle open up, gap up, a bit gap up. It's been closed. So I'm going to speculate that the direction for the market today is going to continue to be long. So I'm going to leave the same levels as if they were not even touched. So that's that. All right, so we have nat gas doing a parabolic movement. So let's see if 320 will be that level, that second level. Then initial target 315. As far as support goes, well, $3 is a psychological level, and the market did kind of penetrated that level earlier today in the London session. So let's see if that will continue to play out. Let's use this, tying up our levels of support for nat gas. So going with the trend, which is buying. All right, gold making all-time highs again and again. So from all the levels of resistance are just psychological. So I'm just gonna use these levels, and then support, I'm gonna use this swing high and give us some room for the support, and then just basically this closing and this opening of those two candles. So we're looking to go long, to continue being long gold. Now we have silver, which today early on the London session it fluctuated lower, finding that support. So I'm gonna leave the same levels. So let's look for a buy entry long. Copper looking to recuperate from last week's, or actually it's been last 3 days moving to the downside. So let's see if today will be a different day. 455. All right, so there we have our levels. Support for silver. It has penetrated our first level. So because I've done that, I'm gonna just contract the chart and take a look at where. Okay, so let's just leave that there. I think that's a nice, that'll be a place of interest. Bitcoin is chugging along, moving higher. So let's see if it's ready to make another attempt at 116. So I'm going long. Currencies, I'm gonna tighten up I'm gonna use 117. It's a tight range initial support because it's psychological. Let's see how much of that fluctuation will it do, and then resistance. Friday's swing high in 118. Now I have the pound also fluctuating higher, so I'm gonna look for 136 to be my target for today. I'm actually gonna use Thursday's swing high, and then basically 134 be psychological. So again, looking to go long. So we want the dollar index to remain under 98, and due to the effect and the essence that interest rate will be cut next week, I'm speculating that the dollar index should be continuing to trade lower. Right. So now that I have done that, then I will go back and start breaking down the time frames to look for intraday momentum, and seeing that Nasdaq is showing us that momentum to the upside on this particular candle, and looking for possible trade setups or possible patterns that would identify a change in trend or a entry in this moment. I'm just in this time frame. What I look for is the momentum. Which side is the momentum being built up? So again, looking at the RSI, if it's how far up is it, about 50. So we understand that once it crosses 50, momentum to the upside is built, and one is above 60, the RSI tells me that momentum is continuing to push higher. So I'll start looking for entry longs. But initially at this stage, since we are about 13 minutes prior to the US session open, we want to obviously be able to be on the right side of that open. People that are some aggressive traders, what they'll do is that they'll see that the index on the during the London session is trading in the green, so therefore that could spill over into the US session open, and we'll probably see a spike. If we were to open right now, we'd probably see a spike to the upside, but we want to obviously be able to catch that opening. So initially for the indices, I'm looking to go long. Here's the momentum for the Dow, pretty much sideways, just like its peers. But obviously, if we were to open right now, we'd be open in the green. Crude oil. So crude oil, after OPEC pronounced itself last week that they're looking to obviously come in and increment their production. So that is putting pressure, obviously, on the asset. Supply is being incremented, therefore demand is being supplied. So therefore, I'm speculating that today we'll see a move to the downside on crude oil. Initially, I'm going to speculate that if we continue to trend lower, we'll find support around this area, and that will be an interest of for us to come in and either contemplate a reversal entry or enter the market short, and you will be targeting those previous lows, which this previous low matches with a previous level of resistance around that level. So therefore, if we do break this area 62 around 62.87, then we can contemplate that the market will continue to fluctuate lower towards this previous resistance, which is now support. And then once it penetrates that level, we should come in to revisit this double bottom here by this wicks. So that will be your ultimate target, 61.80, which is where I have my support. So looking to short crude oil. Nat gas has given us some pretty wild swings. So the on this time frame, we're seeing that nat gas has made a breakout, but it's quickly retreating. So we might take this as a profit taking and see if it'll come down all the way to its previous resistance, which is now support, which is basically where we are, basically around that area, and see if the asset will be able to find those buyers around this area, or will it penetrate even lower into this two pretty parabolic movement, intraday movements. So 305 will be a level of interest to see if the market will reverse its downward movement, or will it continue to penetrate it towards that psychological value of $3. Then gold. All right, so gold intraday, in the short term, we are seeing higher highs, higher lows. Basically, we are in an uptrend. That is that. I mean, you could come in and clone that trend line and just give yourself a channel. All right, so we're making all new time highs. So it's just about being able to enter your positions, your the market at levels that you feel comfortable with the risk. So initially, after this movement to the upside, uh, profit taking is speculated. So we can consider that it is being done right now, that profit taking. So how much more of that profit taking will we see once the market opens? Will it continue to push lower towards the 3620 psychological level, or will it push even lower to 3600, for example? That's a strong round psychological value. But overall, looking to be long gold. Silver also has been relentless during the London session to the upside. Profit taking is taking place right now. So if let's see if this will bring the asset even lower to this particular level of previous resistance, now support of 41, around 41.1819, and here do a reversal to the upside, which I'm speculating it will do. So overall, being long the metals. Copper is the one that's giving us a bit more of a downtrend. So we've seen here copper just basically trying to penetrate this level of resistance. Basically, is about this area so far, and it's just continued to push lower. So therefore, if you were to enter the position to the downside, if you sell copper, well, your initial target would be around this particular bottom the way it was created, around 446, right? Which is a psychological level of support. And then if it penetrates that, then the swing low will be your second target. But initially, let's wait and see if it will continue to push lower here, and where will it close. We'll see that in a minute. Then we look at Bitcoin. So Bitcoin consolidation, and then a breakout. I'm looking at Bitcoin getting ready to make another attempt towards the 114 area. Then the currencies, the euro floating above 117. It gives us a projection to the upside. So 117,600 has been met twice, three times. So basically a triple top here. So we will need a strong catalyst for it to penetrate this, and that catalyst will come from the dollar index if it falls, if it continues to depreciate. The pound also making a momentum to the upside, and it's finding that resistance where it's at right now. So let's see if the dollar index will help by falling, continue to decline. Initially, this area is going to be of interest because it's basically a triple bottom. So somewhere around here, actually, somewhere around here is where we are going to be looking. That dollar index will either find that support here, like it did once, twice, three times, and then reverse, or will it penetrate that particular area towards the 97.20 or 97. If it does, if this thing falls to 97, we'll see gold trend above 36.50, and also silver towards the $42. So keep that in mind. All right, now that I've seen the momentum of each asset, now to start looking for trades, I'll break it down. I fall into a 5-minute chart, and then on this 5-minute chart, what I do, I turn on fractals, and I turn on the VWAP. The VWAP is the volume weighted average price, which is where the most volume has been around. So in the Nasdaq, the 23,756 or 23,750 to round it off, it has been a place where market participants have come and fluctuated off of. If you look at it, you see that after making a BSBs sitting around here lingering for a while, Market fluctuates to the downside and finds that support around the 23,750, and from here it breaks up to the upper band. So now this upper band can be used as a dynamic level of resistance or support depending on where the market is. In this case, it will be a support since the market is above it. And how I like to trade it is that once I see that the market has actually reversed and has been beginning to penetrate the band, I will wait. I can either enter aggressively short because I'm speculating that the market will fluctuate towards the VWAP, and then exit the trade and enter it with a long as a reversal trade. Now sometimes the VWAP, like in this case, it fluctuated off the band and it started to fluctuate lower and penetrated the VWAP, but then quickly fluctuated above to it and then reverse or rebounded off the VWAP. So this would have been the great entry long, obviously, as the market penetrated the VWAP, did a pullback, fluctuated above the VWAP, which acted as a resistance. The market did a throwback to that now will be support, and from here rallied. So that's what I'm waiting for. Now in this scenario where we see that the market is continuing to push higher and creating a longer candle, well, I could turn on the Bollinger Bands just to see how much of volatility is there. So the yellow line is the medium or the 20-day moving average of the Bollinger Bands, and then we understand that the Bollinger Bars are 2 standard deviations, and when we are on the extreme, on the opposite side of the band of the towards the upper band, we understand that we are full volatility, and therefore the speculation is for the market to begin walking the upper band. So you will start to look for entries long as the market bounces off the upper band. But in this case, it is retreating. It found that resistance in that scenario, and so therefore I'm waiting for the market to show me that it is going to enter the VWAP band and towards the VWAP. So initially, I'm just going to be waiting for this, and actually in a minute the market is going to open. So therefore, again, keeping that in mind, 15 minutes for us to hold between 15 and 30 minutes for the dust to settle on once the bell rings. So let's see what will happen. Let's take a look at the S&P. The S&P is giving us a big different trajectory for it. So here I'm going to actually turn off the Bollinger Band and then wait for the market to see what it will do. Obviously 15 minutes, but speculation is for the market to be trending to the upside. The Dow is giving us a different scenario where it's penetrating the band and it's fluctuating lower strongly. So will this overflow into the other assets, into the other indexes? That could be a probability, but due to the fact that in this time frame, okay, so there's the opening bell, and market continue to push lower, trending lower. Let's see what but the Nasdaq is pushing higher. So we're looking for buys, and you want to, again, you want to wait for the dust to settle for the market to give us a range in reality. So that range is done by the market the open interest in the futures market that the market may have, and the one is that settled. So all of these limit orders that were pending, orders that were sitting there, are being filled. So we'll have a range in that scenario. Let's take a look at what crude oil is doing. So we were shorting crude oil, and that's that. Okay, so here is a scenario where we could come in and contemplate an entry. So the market is giving us a downward momentum. So entering the market short at this level, target will be the lower band and a previous swing high, depending on where you want your stop to be. So let's just say, assume that will be the case. So here we go. There's a possible trade setup, shorting crude oil, nat gas, making equal highs, equal lows. A great setup for a possible breakout following the momentum that it had on it. Will that be the case, or will we see another push lower into the VWAP? Gold, after making that all-time high, is giving us a particular move to the downside, which is normal, is expected profit taking during the session. But let's see how much lower will it do? Will it come? Now here is a possible level of support, 36.18. Here's where we could probably speculate that the market will come and give us a possible entry. So let's see if it's able to sustain itself within this range. And from here, if it's not already pushing higher, do a reversal to the upside. Let's see what will happen. Take a look at silver. Again, we want to wait 15 minutes that the market has opened to see, to have a better idea of a normal behavior of trading. We understand all of the orders that were pending, limit orders, they get activated when they met. So let's see. Then we have copper. So let me erase this. So copper fluctuating outside the VWAP. Will the VWAP attract copper into it? Again, the market is giving us a double bottom, and that is an indication of a possible entry long towards the VWAP on copper. Bitcoin, so it did a breakout. Let's see if it will continue its trajectory to 113,000. The euro getting ready to do a breakout. We are overbought, but 117,600 is our target. The pound also doing a breakout. That this levels should be met. And as we see that the dollar index fluctuates lower, we want to be able to see if it'll find support in this green area, or will it penetrate it. If it penetrates it, then we should continue to be long gold and currencies. All right, let's go back to Nasdaq. Nasdaq is strongly fluctuating to the upside, strongly. So 24,000 is right around the corner. That's my second target, but my first target of resistance is 23,896. So look at this range. So see, reversal of the VWAP for the S&P, and the Dow just continued to fluctuate lower and found support at that target. So you see that the targets are, or the levels are being met. They were placed there before the market was open, and we saw that reversal from there. All right, crude oil. So we're still on this crude oil trade. Are we gonna get stopped out, or are we gonna see a continuation to the downside on crude oil? Nat gas, again, just sitting there idling, making equal highs, equal lows. Perfect setup for a possible breakout or breakdown. Gold. All right, so gold has done its profit taking. It didn't quite reach our level that we were speculating, but let's see if in this candle will it close basically where it has been fluctuating and then do a breakout. So possible entry long towards this swing high, our first target, and then obviously psychological values and the ultimate or the first level of resistance being our first target, 36.40 for today. Now our second is 36.50, which all of these will be new all-time highs. So as you can select any other ones because we have not been here before. So you can just choose your levels or your targets. Then we have silver. So it's also giving us a range, pretty wide, pretty tight range indeed. So let's see if it'll be able to break out to the upside and fluctuate above 41.50. Copper. So again, copper getting ready to fluctuate in towards the VWAP. Bitcoin sideways trading for Bitcoin. The euro. All right, so we had a little move to the upside, breakout out of this consolidation stage, but 17600 still on the target. Then the pound fluctuated above our target and now it's retreating, doing a pullback. Dollar index is pushing higher. So let's see if this is just profit taking and it will make another leg down towards our level of our zone, our area of probable support. Let's go back to the NASDAQ and see it's continuing to push higher. Nice momentum to the upside on the indexes. Here we have also the S&P looking to push higher. Dow. Okay, so the Dow may probably continue. Is going to make another attempt at breaking that level of support, fluctuating towards the 45,360. The Dow is actually making in this time frame a wider range. Let's see if that'll sustain itself. See, all right, so crude oil. That's a good trade. So you should be already in the profit. Your stop should already be somewhere like 16 to 90. You don't want to leave that much money on the table in case this happens to reverses. Okay, so our target will be that lower band. So let's see. We still have 45 seconds left on this candle. Let's see how much lower will it fluctuate into our target. So that was a great setup right there. Entering the market right around 63.025, and our target being that level. So this gives you 370 pips and risking 109 pips. So let's see how much lower are we going to be seeing the crude oil trade. Again, OPEC is looking to increment their supply, so let's see what will happen. So that candle was closed, and now we're seeing a bit of a profit taking on this asset. Again, you should have moved your stop somewhere between 62.80 and 85 in case the market decides to reverse. You don't want to leave all that money on the table. You want to cash in. If the market takes you out, it takes you out, but you're in profits. Perhaps, even though it did open gap down a bit, and now it's being closed and it's penetrating its previous momentum. But this could be just profit taking from this drop. So let's see if it'll reverse all of it, or will it just continue to push lower? Let's See what will happen in this particular asset. I mean, our target again is the lower band. So if you would have left, if you would have put your stop at 62.85, let's say, for example, would it take you out? Would it stop you out? You're in profit already because you enter at 63. So let's see what will happen. 62.85. If that will be the level where the market does now come to and just continues its momentum to the downside, or are we gonna see a reversal towards the VWAP? So you got 3 minutes left on this candle. That range also will be helping out if it continues to decline, to push lower. Let's see. Also, there's a correlation between crude oil and the Nasdaq. So if the Nasdaq is pushing higher, crude oil should be pushing lower, or vice versa. If crude oil is pushing higher, Nasdaq should be pushing lower. But right now we're just holding on to the market, to our levels. The asset is looking to reverse its trajectory. Let's see where would it close. Has it found support around that level, or is it going to continue to push lower as the market fluctuates? So, catalyst for crude oil, obviously, if something geopolitical happens to occur, some attack, something of such things, that will obviously push or move the market. But right now we are just basically doing the following the trend, which is intraday is to the downside, and therefore we're seeing that was basically a profit taking scenario so far. Let's see if it'll be able to push lower, and it is. It's pushing lower. It's actually lingering around that area. If we happen to close this candle as a doji, that will be a sign that the market probably will reverse. So let's see how this candle will close. If in this minute left, the market will fluctuate stronger to the downside and hit our level, our target, which is that lower band, which is this band right here, this level. So let's see. The market is actually pushing lower. Momentum, the volume, the column. We want to be able to see that column rise, and obviously staying in the red. But that obviously tells us that the momentum to the downside is being built because volume is incrementing. But as we see here, this price action, we might just be closing as a doji, and that will indicate obviously a possible reversal. But it just changed now. So holding our asset, our position, and the market is pushing lower. 16 seconds, 15, 14, 13, 11, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So the asset didn't close in a doji, and it's pushing lower. And in this candle, we most likely our target will be hit. And it's going to be hit. Is it? Will it? And it got hit. So that was that. That was a positive trade, entering short following a trend trade. Okay, it's continued to push lower from here on. If you're still in the trade, you should have brought down your stop towards the 62.75, so you can trail it, or if you have already set up your trailing stop. But from here on, follow the psychological values. 62.60 will be your next target. Once that is met or is penetrated, then you lower your target. Let's see, 62.60. and that's met. All right, so now we're pushing lower. So 62.55, you can do that, or 62.50 if you want to wait longer. And but obviously there'll be profit taking. So as we see that push back into the bands. Now, if we happen to fluctuate stronger to the upside and close above the band, you might contemplate a reversal entry long towards the VWAP. But here is so far is showing us that it's going to the trajectory is pushing lower. So 62.55 is our next target, and that's where we basically are deciding to enter the market or continue to enter it short. So 62.55 is going to be met, and that has been met. So you lower your target 62.50, you lower your stop loss towards the open of this candle, or even the target, so you don't leave that much money on the table. And if the market reverses on a strong reversal move, then you take you out by new profits. So next target is 62.50, because we are in the trade, we are following the direction of the market up to short the market, and that's basically where the market is going. So once we met that 62.50, we'll move our stop to 62.60. Let's see if this will be met. We still have 2 minutes left on this candle, and the momentum again is pushing the market down. I'm looking at the dollar index. So the dollar index continues to be in the red and also pushing lower, as I see that the negative is now 198, and at one moment it was negative 200 points, the change. And so therefore that's telling me that the dollar index is fluctuating to the downside. It's continuing to push lower, and that's what we want to see in this particular trade. So there we go, pushing lower, 62.53. How much lower are we going to be able to push? Fantastic. Let's see if we are able to hit that target 62.50. 62.50 is the next target, and your stop should be somewhere around 62.65. And once we hit 62.50, you bring it down to 62.60. And then our next target will be 62.45. So just by moving 5 cents. Let's see if this will be met. We still have 40 seconds left. All right, so I'm gonna take a look at other assets because this is a done trade. All right, nat gas fluctuating towards. So it broke down. All right, so it broke down. Now will nat gas continue to follow suit as crude oil, or it's a completely different asset? Now, if you look at to your left where it's at, it was a previous level of resistance, all of this area right here. So that's now support, and it's close to the VWAP. I'm going to contemplate an entry long of the reversal long of the VWAP if the asset continues is able to penetrate this particular area and then bounce off the VWAP. So I'm looking for the asset to do something like this, fluctuate, hit this, and then entering the asset, entering long. Let's see if it penetrates all of this. I mean, it could also just continue to push lower. So that's the other side of the coin. But I'm contemplating a momentum, a trade, a reversal trade. That's what I'm contemplating. Let's see if that will be the case. And still 4 minutes left on this candle. So that will give enough time for us to look at price action. Crude oil 62.52, still pushing 62.50. So crude oil 62.50, it hit the 62.50, so you should be, if you enter the market, you stop should be 62.60, because this one open gap down, fluctuated below 62.50, and is now reversing. So profit taking is being seen right now. So your stop should be at 62.60. Yeah, so all right, let's go back to nat gas. Possible reversal. All right, so we're seeing that particular move now. Possible reversal, but I gotta wait and see where this candle closes though, because if it penetrates the VWAP, right, closing below the VWAP, it will be closing below this volume cluster. So I will want to see it stop at least at 306 for me to enter long. But what it could do is just continue to trend lower, and then that will be just a market order and entering the market at the market and targeting the lower band. But so far right now, if it closes right here above the VWAP, it hit the VWAP. It reversed off the VWAP. So this particular movement is already done, and it's beginning to do this one. Let me just erase this so you can see that it reversed off the VWAP, and it's reversing. So depends on where's the close. If it was to close right here, I'll be entering long. I'm contemplating for obviously the reversal, and the target will be what? Again, this area, the upper band, which is basically what the market has been finding that resistance. But there's a strong move to the downside. It's still, the VWAP is still being respected. We still have a minute 50 to possibly enter long this asset, do a reversal, or if you decide to enter short, then entering short. One of the two things will happen here. The market will either drop or reverse. So let's see. We still have a minute 30 left on this candle. Let's see what will happen. We still contemplate the market to do that reversal towards the upper band. And now it's been here all this time, and it just continues to, the VWAP keeps on being rejected. So therefore we understand that there are buyers there. That's why it's being rejected. But let's see if they've been taken out, it's being absorbed by sellers. See, candle penetrated the VWAP, it reverses. It reverses. It reverses. Let's see where it closes though. It reverses. So there's a strong presence of buyers at that level. That's why the market is not dropping. The sellers have been absorbed. Now let's see who will win this battle in this 5-minute time frame. Will be the buyers or will be the sellers? I mean, even though if the candle even closes above the VWAP in 20 seconds, I could still be wrong and the market could continue to go short. But this price action, being that the market has been above the VWAP for the last 5 minutes and not being able to penetrate it, it tells me that the previous direction or the previous move, which was to the upside of around this same level, was to the upside. Okay, so here it is. We open above, so target the upper band, stop a psychological value of 306. So there, you're looking at an almost 3-to-1 ratio. You're looking to risk 12 pips to win 28. So that's a pretty good ratio, reward to risk ratio. Depending on the lots that you put in, put 0.1 lots, 10, whatever it was, your target is that. Now I could be wrong, and this could think, you just could continue to trade lower. But let's see. Let's see what happens, because there's 4 minutes left on this for this session, and we'll close the session when this candle closes. But let's just leave it here and take a look at other assets and see what we are identifying. All right, gold idling, looking to sustain itself around its highs, so profit taking. As fluctuation comes down, will we find support at this level? This is already done. Move to the upside. Overall, bullish on gold. Silver's retracing, also pulling back, but still also bullish on silver. Copper gives us a bit more of a, okay, so this is probably a reversal entry towards the VWAP for copper. It's like a scalping trade right there. Then we have Bitcoin. So Bitcoin again making those wild swings. Bitcoin moving thousands, so but still looking to be long Bitcoin. Then we have the euro, which is basically idling, consolidating around this area. So looking for a breakout towards the 17600. The pound retreated once it penetrated that level of resistance, but it's holding itself north of 135 and a half. I mean 135. 135,400, and the dollar index has recuperated after making this low, but finding resistance around this area. Let's see if 97.50 will be the ultimate resistance level for the dollar index. But again, you see this dollar index drop again, all of this area towards this previous fractal low. We'll see a jump on the currencies and the metals. Alrighty, so let's take a look at the Nasdaq. Nasdaq nicely climbing, doing higher highs, higher lows. Perfectly, what an uptrend. We are in an uptrend of this guy here. Do a channel. Let's do that. So boom, to the upside, right? To the upside. Okay, delete that. Then we have the S&P. So after half an hour of trading, we have a range that's a high, and this is a low. Right below 6,500 psychological value, right where the VWAP is. So look for reversal trades off the VWAP. Then we have the Dow, which is basically fluctuating around our support level. So can we speculate that the market will find those supporters and bring it back towards the VWAP? So reversal towards the VWAP. And crude oil just continues to give us more and more. $62 is the psychological value or the target for crude oil. Nat gas. So we haven't been, our stop hasn't been hit because we have it right around 360. So that's that. All right, gold getting ready to make a swing high, and then we have silver making that swing high. Copper, the momentum to the VWAP, and Bitcoin is breaking down. Oh boy, breaking down. Let's see where. All right, so as it breaks down and it penetrates the bands, we could contemplate reversal to the mean, to the VWAP. And the last look at the currencies. Euro waiting to make a breakout. Pound is fluctuating to the downside. Is the dollar index catching a bid here? No. Dollar index is getting set to perhaps do a breakout. All right, that's it for me today. Thank you for joining me. And I will see you tomorrow at the same time, half an hour prior to the US session open, so we can look at the market and then look for trades. Thank you for watching. Catch you tomorrow. Bye now.